Hi, friends, it's Heidi M, and I'm back with another interview. But before I introduce my next guest, I'm going to introduce the project that we'll be speaking about. Today, we're going to be speaking about TVO's original Dangerous Games, Roblox, and the Metaverse Exposed. So, logline for you. When Alex discovers a dark side of the metaverse where predators, extremists, and hate groups exploit platforms like Roblox and Minecraft, she teams up with a group of young investigators to expose the truth. Their search leads them to a predator with multiple victims and a kidnapped child, revealing the devastating consequences of a system failing to protect its most vulnerable users. This is a film that's coming to TVO very soon, and it's a documentary that follows Alex, Janae, and Katie, the trio that uncover the hidden dark, like dangers and dark corners of the metaverse. So we'll be speaking with filmmaker Ann Shin and one of the young people in the film, Alex Faruja. So stay tuned and find out more about this film and also a lot of interesting details about making the film and what's happening in the metaverse. Friends, it's Heidi M, and I'm joined in the virtual room again. This time I'm joined by filmmaker Ann Shin, and we'll introduce our special guest afterwards. But Anne, maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself. I know you from your writing work and your documentary film work. What else have you been up to lately?
Yeah, so we've just finished a documentary called Dangerous Games, Roblox and the Metaverse Exposed. And we follow in this documentary three young gamers who take us into the underworld of the metaverse, into games like Roblox and Minecraft, which are, full immersive games where you assume an avatar and you interact with others. And I'm going to start this again. Sorry.
No, it's all good. We can edit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We've just finished a documentary called Dangerous Games. We've just finished a documentary called Dangerous Games, Roblox and the Metaverse Exposed, where we follow three young gamers, including Alex Faruja, who's going to join us in a minute. They take us into the underworld of the metaverse,
Mhm.
where in games like Roblox and Minecraft, there's a lot of illegal activity going on, child predators grooming children, as well as extremist groups recruiting people. It was really shocking to see what we found during the course of this film.
Of course, I was privy to taking a sneak peek of the film, so thank you for sharing that. I had a lot of emotion, so I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of, when people watch it, they're probably also gonna have a lot of processing themselves. But maybe let's start with how did the project come to you, and then making the connections with the young people.
Yeah, I work with the producer Erica Lindertz, whose kids were playing Roblox,
Mm,
and she thought, "Wow, it's a Lego-like game online. It's great that they're learning to build online." But
yes,
then when she started reading some reports about child grooming on Roblox, as well as other like extremist groups recruiting others. And
yes.
so she brought this to me when we were talking about it, and we went online, and it took us like less than 3 minutes to end up in, like, as we were exploring Roblox, we're
Mhm.
finding like sexual dens with S&M activity, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is a kids platform. There's
Right.
something really wrong going on here.
hmm I know. I learned about Roblox myself through my nephews, who, when I hang out, they're like, "Can I put it on your phone? Because I want to distract myself." Right? And again, I had no idea
Yeah.
in terms of how involved it could be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things about Roblox, a lot of great environments, and my niece and nephew both play it, and they've learned to code because of it, or
Right.
learn to build online. But
hmm
yeah, there's a lot of dangerous corners you can end up in because
Right.
there's millions of people on it. There's 100 million people a day on Roblox.
Would you say that from that many people, a lot of it, if not most of them, are younger in demographic and age?
Yeah, I think a lot of the users on the Roblox platform are children, but there are a lot of adults as well.
Mm,
And the problem with in this world is when you have Lego avatars being representing who you are, you can't tell if that person in front of you is a 15-year-old boy, like he's telling you, or if he's a 53-year-old man. And
Right.
that's where the problem starts.
Right. And in connecting with Erica for to make the film, how did you connect with the three young people? We have Alex, Janae, and Katie. What was that journey like in terms of making those connections?
Yeah, Erica did a lot of great outreach, and the first person that we got in touch with was Alex, who is a very, uh, like a very active person on the internet. Her handle Tanuki Alex, she's got a lot of followers, and she was posting about the dangers that she's been seeing on
Mm.
Roblox and the grooming that she's been seeing online, as well as the predators. And here's Alex joining us now. Yeah,
Hi, Alex. Um, Thank you for joining us. So maybe, Anne, if you want to finish, and then we can
right.
segue into Alex.
Yeah, and Janae was an activist in her own right. She's a gamer as well. Really awesome person who started up Black Minecraft because she found that playing Minecraft when she was in a black skin, people would start to spawn kill her all the like anytime she came into a game, they would all jump on her to kill her. But then when she changed her skin to a pale color skin, then that didn't happen. And so she was like, wow, racism exists in the metaverse as well. So
Right.
she started up Black Minecraft with other Black gamers to create a safe space for Black gamers to play together and to feel empowered. So we were inspired by her.
Of
And
course.
then Katie is a gamer who also was really brave and stepped forward to talk about her own grooming experience at the hands of a man who ended up being tracked by the police and then arrested by the FBI and convicted and charged of child trafficking in relation to a girl he had groomed and lured and trafficked,
Hmm.
whom he had met on the Roblox platform.
Right. Like it's so it can be so intense so quickly. At least is what I'm
Yes.
seeing. Thank you, Alex, for being here. I know you're busy because it's a busy day. But maybe you can tell us what it was like to sort of connect with Anne and the team and have this opportunity to also speak for yourselves. I think that's the strength of this film, that it is young people led with some great support and being able to educate us, those of us who are not as well educated.
Yeah, I first connected with Anne and Erica and all them in 2020, and we really discussed the idea of putting these ideas forth, right? A lot of us do have platforms, but they're internet platforms, and a lot of people like to think that Roblox and all that is just the internet, right? It's not. And our film really tries to prove that into contextual reality by giving contextual evidence. And one of the ways we sought that out is through the film. We did a lot of research, we did a lot of investigating, even on and off the film, about different predators, different extremists, stuff like that. And I think it's the idea of young people coming together in a way that's responsible that I really like about this film.
I will say that that's sort of my favorite aspect of that film too. That you are informing us as older people who might not be well, versed, for lack of a better word, of the metaverse. And like I said, I do have some knowledge, but because I don't play the game, I may not understand the level of involvement that is happening online. How was the other thing about the film that I really appreciate is that you were able to connect the three of you and do this work together. Like I wish it was longer. I know you kind of have to make the film a particular length, Anne, but there's still a glimpse of all of the work that you've done behind the scenes and sort of those discussions that you've had. So maybe both of you can talk about what was the conversation like with the three of you, Alex and Anne, sort of guiding in terms of what makes sense to highlight for the film.
I think one of the coolest things was meeting with Janae in person, because I was friends with Janae for like 3 years before this film. So I've known Janae about 7 years now. And connecting in person and really talking in person made our connection so much stronger. Even Katie, I knew Katie before I knew Katie from prior things, because she was in the Sonic Roblox community. And I think being able to collaborate in such a space that Fathom fostered was really awesome, because we were able to put our work to use and really connect to the people who needed it most, like parents, lawmakers, people who really needed to understand the work that we do in order to get our point across, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that we really love to do at Fathom. We love to tell the underdog story. And, Alex, Janae, and Katie are three strong young women and great underdogs to root for because they're fighting the good fight for all young gamers in the world. And we're just happy to have been able to, facilitate getting their message out to the rest of the world as they're kind of really calling the alarms to some of the early problems that we're seeing in the metaverse.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm seeing is this continuous narrative of technology is advancing really fast and we're not able to keep up with that. And it seems the same is happening with legislation around these spaces and also who are the legislators and do they even understand it? Any thoughts on that, Alex?
Honestly, most of the legislation that we talk to, even in parts that were cut, we talked to a lot of legislation, and a lot of people are like, what's a roadblock? What's a craft mine? Like, they
Mm.
don't understand because a lot of them grew up in the area of like NES. I'm talking Super Mario Brothers. So when you have a game, that's not just a game, but a social experience, right? It's a socialization experience. They don't understand that it goes beyond a socialization experience. For a lot of us, this is like a double life, right? This is what we do. This is what I do as a job, right? And I think a lot of them, because they aren't there and because they don't, a lot of them even don't empathize, it's very hard to get that point across. But Lori Trahan in the film was amazing because she really understood us. Her kids played Roblox. She understood that it's a second universe for a lot of us, right?
Hmm.
This is our home and we want to protect it, make it as safe as we can for anyone, because anyone would want to do that, right? So Lori Trahan was a great example of someone who really took the time to understand and research the cause because it does go beyond the metaverse. It goes to real life, as we saw in the film.
Right. And I'm curious, what are some of the biggest lessons you've taken from working with the young people as like Alex and Katie and Janae, and also just that journey of actually going in the journey with them.
Like, I think what Alex and Janae and Katie revealed for us was a lot of detailed information about where exactly the problems are in terms of these gaming platforms and in the metaverse and in terms of the various plugins and apps related to these gaming platforms like Discord, where it's a chat app where a lot of the grooming continues off platform.
Hmm.
And I think that policymakers really need to listen to people like Alex and Janae and Katie who are in these games, who know them intimately and thoroughly, in order to be able to understand exactly what what illegal activity needs to be addressed by the lawmakers because they don't even understand the extent of the kinds of crimes happening in the metaverse. So that's something I learned. Like, let's listen to young, well-spoken gamers like Alex and Janae and Katie.
Hmm.
Secondly, you know, we support Alex and Janae's like fight for getting legislation and proper regulations of the platforms. We did find that like amongst all the things like there's not enough regulating of the platforms like within
Right.
the platforms themselves. They should have more human moderators to monitor like the millions of people online and the kinds of activities that they're doing to other users there, um, as well as just some kind of set rules about like what's legal and not within the metaverse that has to be established.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely some work still needs to be done here.
Yeah.
I'm getting my times up soon, but maybe some last thoughts in terms of maybe I'll start with Alex. What are your hopes that the film will do, not only as an education piece, but in terms of starting some dialogue and some change?
We're hoping that it starts a dialogue around transparency because we love these platforms, but the issue is there's not enough transparency of what actually they do to help stop predators and bad actors from really taking over the platform. And I think this is the problem with a lot of the metaverse platforms is we don't feel they're doing enough and what they are doing we don't know about. So we're very much left in the dust as gamers. So I'm hoping it starts a conversation about transparency, honesty, and working with these grassroots gamers as companies and lawmakers to really help spark that change.
Absolutely. And what about you, Anne? What are your hopes here in terms of?
I agree with Alex. Like, I hope that one, that the lawmakers finally get to move on the Online Harm Safeties Act, or else the Kids Online Safety Act. In Canada and the US, these bills have been tabled but haven't been passed because of questions and issues around the problem of censorship. If platforms are censoring content because of potential harm to kids, where would the line be drawn in terms of would they censor other material that they deem politically motivated, and then what kinds of politics would they be wanting to censor? Like, that's why these bills have been caught in the in the legal system and not being passed, or in the governmental system. um and then in terms of platforms, I feel like there should be what they should do more swiftly is pass regulations for platforms in terms of child safety on each platform.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be. This is probably going to be one of the tools. The film might be one of the tools to even provide evidence. At least I
Yeah,
hope so.
I hope so too.
You know.
The best thing, though, I think, is for parents to, in the meantime, play with the kids, to know, like, who are the kids speaking to on the platforms, and who are they, like, what kind of experiences are they getting themselves into? Because each platform is like a giant mega city,
Yes.
and you wouldn't let your child wander into the city alleys at night on their own. You're allowing that when you hand a tablet to a kid and say, well, you play on this for 3 hours on this gaming platform, and
Hmm.
you can chat to whomever you meet. Like, you have to understand that the dangers on these platforms are as real as in the city. In the
Right. So still some street smarts are
Yes.
relevant. It
Yeah,
seems.
and the parents being around and knowing what the kids are getting into is important, which means getting your kids to, like, tell you how you play this game, and joining in a bit.
So even just continuing the dialogue at home or starting
Yeah.
at home and continuing it, obviously, hopefully to make changes in legislation.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, Anne, so much. And Alex, always a pleasure to learn more from you. And
Thank you,
we'll
Heidi.
look
It's
out for the
always great
film.
to talk with you.
Absolutely. All
Okay.
right.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you.